paid for how they literally walk into the courtroom, for how they hold space for everything that's happening, how they talk to the jury, the level of comfort and confidence they have in the work that their people have done, so that they have really taken that in and made it part of how they're operating and how they're thinking, which gives them an incredible sense of confidence and power walking into a room. People respond and respect that kind of confidence and that kind of just being. If they were busy doing and shuffling through papers and sort of scurrying about and talking to other people, it looks really different to a jury than someone who, exactly as you said, shows up, feels like they know their stuff, can really be fully present in that space for whatever comes and respond in a way that is meaningful.
Leslie, at this point in the show, would like to remind our listeners that you're listening to The Secrets of Success. My name is Bill Horan. The show is produced at the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. We'll be right back after this brief intermission.
As an 18-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it.
10 years later, at age 28, Jackie finished her high school diploma.
When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support team is amazing. The educational director, my sister, and even my 7-year-old daughter has just been more than the support that I could ask for. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Welcome back. You're listening to The Secrets of Success. I'm your host, Bill Horan, and today we're speaking with Leslie Peters, author of Finding Time to Lead. Leslie, before you talked about how people transition into the CEO role, and sometimes they're an expert in another field, sales, or maybe more technical field like accounting, law, or a doctor. Is it tougher for the person who is, let's say, the really good doctor or the expert accountant to make that transition?
I don't think so. I have seen some really great people in a technical field or in a particular area become even better CEOs. I think what it takes is the acknowledgement that there's this shift, that what they used to do isn't what they need to continue doing, and that they need to find their own sense of satisfaction from something different, from empowering other people to do the work rather than doing the work themselves. So I think that it's entirely possible, and a lot of teachers make great principals. A lot of heads of sales become great CEOs, but the ones that really do that are the ones that acknowledge that this is a different kind of thing and that they need to learn some new skills, retool, think differently about how they interact with people, and frankly where they're going to get their own satisfaction.
You mentioned in the book that humans are now a bigger part than ever of this formula. The person who's the expert and moves up, they're kind of so into what they do, either naturally, I would think, or by accumulation of knowledge over the years. Mm-hmm. Are they always the, in quote, people person we want them to be, and can they be converted? Let's put it that way.
Oh, in the business of conversion, yes, they can. I think. And sometimes what it looks like for, there's a CEO of the parent company of a client we've worked with, and, came out of a very, very serious business finance background. And what's happened there is she's really surrounded herself with lots of people who have different skills. So sometimes it isn't about sort of changing how you operate or adapting quite to the extent that you need to. It can also be about recognizing that there are things that need to get done that are not in your skill set, growing those as much as you can, but also surrounding yourself with people who have those skill sets that are needed now that may not come naturally to you, or that you may never grow into to the extent that you might need to really excel in that role in the ways that you want to and the ways that you want to take your company forward.
Leslie, again, I want our audience to know our guest today is Leslie Peters. Her book is Finding Time to Lead. And Leslie, once again, could you tell us where we can get the book and the website?
Sure. The book is available on Amazon, and the website is just like the title of the book, findingtimetolead.com. We have on the website, as I mentioned, we have the book is full of tools and tips and things you can actually do. And we do have on the website a workbook that you can download that goes with the book if you want to do some of the exercises or thinking kind of projects that are in the book. You can do those with the workbook that you can download for free on the website.
And it's an easy read, as we mentioned. It's the kind of book you could pick up in an airport. You can pick it up and knock it off easily in less than a week at home. And if you make it a goal just to pick up 2 of the books you hear on our show each year and kind of develop yourself into a better leader, some of these points, and you just by natural accumulation of facts, you'll start bringing this up in conversations. And I'm sure people in your workplace are going to say, gee, that person seems to know a lot about leadership, etc. And when the time comes for the promotion or the upgrade, at least you're going to be thought of, and people will know you care and you're looking at the future rather than looking back at the past.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
absolutely.
One of the questions you ask in the book, you say that the CEO should ask themselves, what do I want to be right now? Mm-hmm. By that, are they asking themselves if they want to be a CEO? And how do people answer that? And what's the right and wrong answers?
Sure.
Make a cheat sheet for us so we'll get the right answer.
There you go. So the right answer, the question is, who do I want to be right now? It's sort of what you said about not sort of yelling about something or reacting in a way that erodes trust. It's really about sort of when we're in those moments, stopping and thinking about leaders whom we admire, leaders who have had a positive influence on us, so that in that exact moment we can think, oh, I want to be like this person. I don't want to be the angry person that I feel like I am right now in this moment. And so actually a leader in a company that I worked with said that she was going through they were having a big transition at the company, and all day people were asking her lots of questions about specific things, and she said, the first thing I wanted to do was just answer their questions, because that's like who I am. I'm a person who helps by answering questions. And she said, I kept hearing your voice in my head saying, who do I want to be right now? Who do I want to be right now? And she said she thought of a coach that she had in high school who was always just steady, didn't always give her the answer, tell her what she wanted to hear, was always ready to let her figure things out, to take a little extra time, to not be sort of the quick response person. And so that really helped her think about how she wanted to show up, because leadership is about who you are, not about what you do. And so asking yourself, who do I want to be right now, is really different than asking yourself, what do I need to do right now? And that's a way of making that shift from doing to being. So there's no right answer.
No, we're going to put you on the spot now, Leslie. Now, you've been on both sides, and now you're a CEO yourself. Mm-hmm. So how do you find yourself answering this? And do you put yourself through this grind? And how would Leslie grade Leslie?
Oh, now you're asking really hard questions.
Now we get to the tough part of the show. That's right.
That's right, exactly. Well, I will say that I really talk a lot about these being practices. And I do say in the book that I wish I was perfect at all of the things that I talk about in the book, but I am not. Because these are all things as humans that we deal with all the time. So I would, I have up days and down days. I would say overall I'd give myself about a B+. And I'd give myself an A for effort, I think. And I sort of think that's the thing that really matters in all of this is, are you trying? Are you thinking about it? Are you doing your best to show up in ways that are how you want to show up and lead in ways that work for you and the people around you and what you're trying to build? So I do that as much as I can, as often as I can. I have I talk in the book about the person that I think of most often when I think of who do I want to be is a guy I knew at my university named Jim McCloud. And Jim was just a person who showed up for everyone all the time. He always asked the best questions, and he always listened better than anyone else, and he always took the time even though he was incredibly busy. And he was 100% consistent. And, walking across campus, you could always count on Jim to find the student standing off to the side or the group of students who looked left out and make his way over to them. And it didn't matter if he was late for a meeting. It didn't matter if it was 100 degrees. It didn't matter if it was freezing cold. And at the end of his life, it didn't matter that he had terrible raging cancer. He always made time to get to the people who needed him or that he thought could use a good Jim McCloud question. And so that's the person I think of when I feel like I just want to get busy and I have too much to do and I just am angry about something or frustrated about something or I don't really want to take the time to understand someone else's point of view. I think about Jim, and that helps me take a breath and sort of shift into those other ways of showing up.
And isn't it amazing what he did that was so impressive? I gather he has passed away.
Yes.
But how that has lived on, I saw that anecdote in your book.
Yeah.
You mentioned it now, and it pervades your life, obviously, every day, that you'll take time out because of the good role model that he was. And in fact, he had, I guess, a multiplier effect.
Yes.
Because I'm sure you're not the only one. There's probably some other people who think of Jim McCloud. Now, probably I will in the future.
Yes.
And what would Jim McCloud do? And if I don't do it, I'm going to feel kind of bad that I kind of didn't honor his legacy.
Yes, exactly. And I have to say, there were about 5,000 people at Jim's service when he died from all over the world. And that was the kind of impact that he had. And, it's funny because I try to think about like what Jim did all day, every day. And mostly what Jim did, I think, was go to meetings and talk to people. And I don't remember him for a while. He was a professor, so then he would have taught classes. But after that, I don't remember what he did. And I was in a lot of meetings with Jim and worked with him. And really what he did was just be who he was in the best possible way he could be. And that's what made the difference for all of us.
You definitely kept his legacy alive in your book, Finding Time to Lead. As we mentioned again to our audience, in case you didn't hear it before, the book is Finding Time to Lead by our guest, Leslie Peters. Leslie, give us the website real quick.
Sure. It's simple, findingtimetolead.com.
Thanks so much for being with us today. We'd like to remind our audience that you've been listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Bill Horan, asking you to please join us again next week at this same time when we'll continue our journey to success.